the chubby girl named Simi arrived at her relative's countryside house. It was Monday. Aunt Claudia is happy to have her niece here. The house is still undergoing renovation. Claudia is a renowned nutritionist and author of books on weight loss. Simi was placed in Philip's room. The girl felt awkward because she didn't want to inconvenience anyone. Suddenly Claudia asked why she came to them just before Easter. Simi only wanted to visit her aunt, whom she hadn't seen for many years since her divorce. Simi planned to stay exactly 1 week, but Claudia said they were accustomed to celebrating Easter exclusively in a close family circle, so Simi would have to leave on Friday. Later, the girl called her mom, who asked if she had talked to Aunt Claudia about a diet. Simi hadn't asked yet because she felt ashamed. During dinner, all the family members gathered at the table. Simi took a very small portion for herself. Philip, Claudia's son, remained silent and looked subdued. The mother overly coddled him, as if he were a little child. Claudia and her new husband Stefan didn't eat. They refrained from dinner until the end of fasting. Simi didn't know they were religious. Before going to bed, the girl examined herself in the mirror. She hated her figure. Suddenly Philip entered. Simi felt very uncomfortable sharing the room with him. Philip evidently not thrilled about it either. Thinking Simi had a crush on him, he told her she had no chance. Simi was reading a book late into the night, but when she heard footsteps, she turned off the flashlight. Claudia entered the room, bringing water for her son and taking his phone to see what he was doing. Clearly something is amiss in this house. In the middle of the night, Simi woke up and went downstairs. At some point, her attention was drawn to the sighs coming from the aunt and uncle's room. Simi couldn't resist and decided to spy on them. Tuesday came. Early in the morning, Simi went for a jog in the forest. Due to her excess weight, she couldn't run a long distance. At some point, Simi noticed a large structure made of branches and approached it. Nearby stood a canister of gasoline and someone's backpack. Simi opened it. Inside there were clothes and a chocolate bar, but the girl managed to control her sweet tooth. Claudia had already prepared a hearty breakfast. At the sight of food, Simi's stomach growled. Stefan also engaged in sports. Secretly from his wife, he eats dishes that are forbidden during fasting. Simi asked about the branches in the forest. Stefan replied that they planned to light the Easter bonfire. Refusing to eat, Simi went to take a shower. In the room the girl found Claudia, who decided to unpack the niece's things. Seeing her own book in the backpack, Claudia guessed that the niece was here to seek help. Losing weight takes a lot of time, and Claudia is currently too busy, but she is willing to give her niece some helpful advice. Later, Simi texted her mom, who asked how things were. Simi replied that everything was fine. The girl approached the window and noticed the spouses arguing about something. Claudia entered the house and asked Simi if she had seen Philip. The young man had disappeared. Claudia was very worried because she never let her son go out alone. It would be dark soon, so they needed to find him immediately. It turned out that all this time Philip was by the structure made of branches. Later at home, Claudia, feeling immense relief, offered her niece help with losing weight. The girl gratefully hugged the aunt. Claudia no longer objected to Simi staying in their house until Easter Sunday. During dinner, Philip as usual looked subdued, and as before, the mother overly coddled him. Simi was surprised when the aunt left her without dinner. Furthermore, Claudia wants to make Simi fast until Easter to cleanse her body. After that, she will be able to transition to a low-calorie diet. Right now Simi will have to make do with just water. It was unbearable for her to look at the appetizing dishes. After dinner, while cleaning the dirty dishes, Simi barely restrained herself from eating leftovers. Aunt Claudia asked Simi to step on the scales, and then measured her figure parameters. From now on, Simi will actively lose weight. Claudia warned the girl that if she doesn't take it seriously, they will all stop. In the room, Simi saw a rat on her pillow and got scared. Claudia assured that sometimes it happens in the countryside. But Simi knows for sure that Philip did it. For some reason he didn't like her from the very beginning. Simi asked for permission to sleep in the living room. On the stairs, she crossed paths with Stefan, who said she didn't need to lose weight because she was already pretty. Wednesday came. Claudia prepared a high-calorie breakfast for her son, while Simi drank only water. It seemed that Philip enjoyed seeing her suffer. During the day, Simi tried every possible way to distract herself from thoughts of food. Finding a chocolate wrapper in the niece's belongings, Claudia was very displeased and already regretted agreeing to help her. Simi said it was probably Philip who planted the wrapper, but the aunt didn't believe her. Simi begged for another chance. Claudia reluctantly agreed, but on the condition that Simi never breaks the diet again. Later, Simi saw Claudia applying a cold compress to the son's bruise on his face. During dinner, the girl asked what happened. Stefan replied that Philip fell. In the presence of the mother, the boy always lowers his eyes and speaks little. Now he's the only one allowed to have dinner. Stefan tried to tempt Simi with food, but the girl said she wasn't hungry. Of course it was a lie. Every evening, Claudia weighs the niece and records her progress. Simi began to suspect that Philip didn't fall, but in fact Stefan did. However, Claudia is certain that he is not capable of such a thing. In celebration of the first weight loss, Aunt Claudia gave Simi a pendant in the shape of a stone amulet, which supposedly suppresses hunger. Claudia believes that her niece will succeed. Tonight Simi will have to sleep in Philip's room again because Claudia plans to work late in the living room. Claudia is writing a new book dedicated to the cuisine of ancient cultures, but due to the complexity of the topic, she hasn't found a publisher yet. Simi couldn't fall asleep because of hunger, and naturally the amulet didn't help. To dull her appetite, the girl went to the kitchen to drink water. Unable to resist, she opened the refrigerator, which was empty. Stefan approached from behind and said that he couldn't resist either. He constantly thinks about food, so he understands Simi better than anyone else. When Stefan began to compliment her and behave persistently, Simi, taking a sharp object, wounded him. In the morning, Simi woke up from this nightmare. It was Thursday morning. This time when Simi opened the refrigerator, it was full of food. Claudia was preparing breakfast, reminding her niece that she shouldn't eat anything. Stefan walked into the kitchen as if nothing had happened and announced that he was going hunting. Claudia asked her husband to take Philip with him. She really wants the son to build a relationship with his stepfather. However, Philip on the contrary doesn't want to be alone with Stefan, but he couldn't disobey his mother. Simi asked for permission to go with them. They hunted rabbits. Stefan taught Philip how to shoot. The young man did everything silently, although he didn't want to harm the animals. Stefan was irritated by the stepson's indecisiveness. After the hunt, Stefan asked Simi to help him skin the rabbit. Suddenly Simi asked him why he doesn't like Philip. The man avoided a direct answer. He didn't like how the stepson behaved during the hunt. Before Simi left, Stefan told her she was good. The girl was so desperate to eat that she was willing to taste a tripe, but still managed to resist. Something is clearly wrong in the house, and with each passing day, it becomes more evident. When Simi entered the room, she found Philip crying. He called her a cow and tried to drive her away, but she didn't leave, wanting to support him. Philip hates and fears Stefan, but he fears his own mother even more, whom he considers a psychopath. Every time Philip made friends, the mother transferred him to another school, and now they have moved away from the city altogether. Simi thought it was nonsense and left. However, doubts crept into her mind. Could Aunt Claudia have something to hide? When Claudia measured the niece's figure parameters again in the evening, she noticed that Simi seemed thoughtful. The girl honestly told her aunt what she had spoken to Philip and that he was afraid his mother might harm him. After these words, Claudia cried, telling Simi that Philip suffers from a mental disorder and is prone to paranoia. Lately, he's been getting worse, so Claudia has had to constantly change schools at the request of teachers. Simi took her aunt's hand in a gesture of support. They must trust each other. The girl couldn't stop thinking about it. Before bed, as usual, Claudia brought water to her son and checked his phone. When Claudia left, Philip whispered to Simi that his mother would soon do something bad. Moreover, he began to threaten Simi, demanding to know what his mother was planning. However, Simi doesn't know anything. Friday came. Simi found it increasingly difficult to resist when she saw delicious food. Looking out the window, she saw Aunt Claudia burying something outside. Later, digging up the hole, Simi found a voodoo doll and a photo of Philip. After that, she immediately called her mom, who explained that Aunt Claudia is into esotericism, but it's harmless. Simi wanted to ask the mother to pick her up, but Claudia entered, interrupting their conversation. Simi pretended that everything was fine. Later, Claudia asked Simi to help her prepare everything for Easter. The girl couldn't find her phone anywhere. When Claudia briefly left, Simi began searching for her phone in the aunt's belongings, suspecting that she might have taken it. Could Philip have been right about her? Opening the wardrobe in Claudia and Stefan's room, Simi found a folder containing materials on diets as well as on esoterics. It seems Claudia's fascination with occult things had gone too far. Special attention was paid to the topic of eating one's own kind. Simi knows she's not safe here but tries to pretend everything is fine. Later in the room, she asked Philip if he wanted to escape. However, the young man could no longer trust Simi because she had told his mother about their previous conversation. After locking the shed, Stefan entered the house. All this time, Simi watched him through the window and knew that all the keys were in his pocket. Friday is a fasting day, but an exception was made for Philip. Claudia cooked rabbit, which her son had caught. Suddenly, Simi said she wanted to end her diet because she couldn't bear the hunger anymore. Claudia in turn told the niece that she must keep herself in control. Philip pushed his plate towards Simi. He didn't want to eat and was willing to share his food with Simi, who didn't know how to behave at that moment. What the son did made Claudia very angry. In a commanding tone, she ordered him to take back his plate. But the young man didn't obey, even when the stepfather shouted at him. Then Claudia slapped Philip. Barely crying, Simi begged Philip to take back the plate. The guy, who was already on the edge, had to do it and eat everything. Simi was so hungry that she started eating toothpaste. Aunt Claudia entered the bathroom and said they must continue the diet. On Easter, they will gather together again for dinner and be like one family. At night, Simi stole the keys from Stefan's pocket. Entering the room, she witnessed Claudia in tears telling her son how much she loves him and does all this for his own good. When Claudia left, Simi showed Philip the keys. They agreed to escape at 6 in the morning. Suddenly Philip asked Simi why she wanted to lose weight so badly and couldn't love herself as she was. Simi asked him not to interfere in her affairs. Waking up in the morning, Simi realized she had overslept. Philip was not in the room. Going outside, the girl saw the gate lock lying on the ground. It was Saturday. Stefan and Claudia felt relieved to learn that Philip had run away to his father in Vienna. Simi wondered why Philip didn't wake her up. She approached Stefan and asked him to take her home to Vienna today. Stefan was upset that Simi wouldn't stay with them for Easter, but still agreed to take her. Later, the girl wrote a message to Philip asking why he left without her. In response, Philip sent her an indecent photo and called her a cow. Claudia was upset about her son's departure and deeply regretted the slap. She apologized to Simi for having to witness it. Before Simi left, the aunt advised her to continue the diet, but without fanaticism. Perhaps a week of fasting is too much. After some thought, Simi decided to stay for Easter. Stefan said that Claudia believes in mysticism and observes traditions, so they should take the holiday seriously. In the evening, after setting the table, Claudia brushed the niece's hair. Meanwhile, Stefan prepared all the necessary attributes. The aunt gave Simi a beautiful blouse. It was unusual for the girl to see herself with makeup. Midnight came, Holy Sunday. Claudia, Stefan and Simi were going to have dinner under the open sky. Taking their hands, Claudia said a prayer. The table was surrounded by torches. There was a lot of delicious food on the table. Today the aunt allowed Simi to eat as much as she wanted. Simi hesitated for a long time before tasting the first bite. It was very tasty. Everyone started dinner, which proceeded in silence. When they finished, Claudia suggested her niece stay longer, but she couldn't because school starts on Monday. Wiping off the makeup in front of the mirror, Simi cried. She couldn't fall asleep at all during the night. Her attention was drawn to Philip's folding knife lying on the floor. Simi decided to text Philip. Suddenly she realized that the photo he sent her earlier was taken from the shed. Could it be that Philip hadn't actually gone anywhere? Trying not to make noise, Simi left the house and, breaking the lock on the shed, sneaked inside. There, she found lifeless Philip. Simi was horrified to realize that Philip was the main dish for Easter. Approaching from behind, Stefan hugged Simi, calming her down. He was sure the girl knew what the main dish consisted of, but of course she knew nothing. Stefan only wants Simi to keep quiet about what happened here. Tomorrow he will call the police and say that Philip has run away again. Unable to contain herself, Simi grabbed a sharp object and attacked Stefan, injuring him. Simi tried to escape, but the aunt and Stefan chased her with a shotgun. Simi ran through the woods when suddenly she stumbled and fell. Her pursuers were close. Since Simi was lying on the ground, they didn't notice her. However, the girl couldn't stay here for long, and getting up moved forward. Because of her injured leg, she limped. Emerging onto the road, Simi saw the structure of branches for the Easter bonfire. At that moment, the headlights of her pursuer's car lit up. Simi couldn't get far. Claudia was already running after her. Due to shortness of breath, the girl couldn't go any further. The aunt thought she was hiding in the branches. Claudia said that what they did was wonderful and Philip would now be with them forever. When the girl refused to come out, Claudia poured gasoline on the branches. It turned out to be a trap. Sneaking out from behind, Simi splashed the fuel on Claudia and lit the fire, calmly watching the aunt's futile attempts to escape. Morning came. Simi approached wounded Stefan and sat next to him. He gave her the shotgun and asked her to end his suffering. Simi touched the amulet given by her aunt. Because of his wounds, Stefan passed away. Thus began the day of Easter Sunday.